you've sat in that room. Maybe it was a team meeting. Maybe it was an all hands. Someone pulls up a slide with the company's mission statement, reads it out loud, and the room does that thing where everyone nods slowly and says nothing. Not because they disagree, not because they don't care, but because the words on that slide have absolutely nothing to do with the work that they do every day. If you've ever been in that room, or worse, if you've been the one reading that slide out loud, you are exactly in the right place. Today on Toby Talks, we're talking about how to articulate your mission and vision in a way that actually means something. Not mission statement theater, not vision board aesthetics, the real thing, words that guide actions, attract the right people, and build organizations that last. Here's what we're going to cover today. Firstly, why most mission and vision statements fail before they've even finished. Second, the actual difference between mission and vision and why it matters. Third, a 5-step framework that you can use to build from scratch or rebuild the ones that you already have. And fourth, what changes in your organization when you finally get this right. This episode is going to be direct, practical, and honest. So let's get into it. Let me start with a story. Toby's Taco Truck, our favorite delicious example, had been rolling for about 3 years when this moment happened. The truck had regulars. The tacos were excellent, genuinely excellent. Fresh tortillas made every morning, slow braised meats, salsas made from scratch. The kind of food that makes people stop mid-bite and close their eyes. Business was good. Not great, but good. Steady. And then a food blogger named Maya Rivera pulled up to the truck one random Tuesday afternoon. She was writing a piece about food trucks with staying power, the ones that built loyal followings and lasted more than a couple years in a brutally competitive market. She ordered a carnitas taco, pulled out her notebook, and asked what turned out to be the most uncomfortable question anyone had ever asked the truck's owner. Her question: what's the mission of Toby's Taco Truck? And that question was met with nothing but silence. Not a pause, but silence. The kind that starts to feel a little awkward or long after about 4 seconds and becomes excruciating after 8. The owner's response was, "We make great tacos." Maya, the food blogger, wrote that down without even looking up. And then she said, "But why? Why tacos? Why this truck? Why does any of this exist?" And she was met with more silence. And here's the thing. The owner wasn't stupid. He wasn't lazy, and he wasn't indifferent. He had poured 3 years of his life and soul into that truck. Early mornings, late nights, skipped vacations, sore feet. He cared deeply. He simply had never been asked to put all of that care into words. And in that moment, he realized that he couldn't. He couldn't explain the mission because he had never defined one. He had a product, he had a schedule, he had a bank account, but he didn't have a mission. Maya published her piece, and she was kind about it. But the line that stuck was this: Toby's Taco Truck makes excellent food. It just doesn't know why. That line changed everything. I want you to stop and sit with that story for a minute because it's not really a story about a taco truck. It's a story about what happens when you build something without intentional direction. You can be good at what you do. You can have loyal customers. You can make money and still not know why you exist. And when you don't know why you exist, 3 things will happen. First, your decisions will become reactive. Every choice gets made based on what's right in front of you, not based on any coherent sense of direction. You might add a menu item because someone asked for it, or you changed your hours because business was slow on certain days of the week. You hire any warm body, not just who fits. Every decision is isolated and nothing compounds. Second, your team doesn't know what to prioritize. When there's no clear mission, people fill in the gaps with their own assumptions. Marketing thinks the brand is casual and fun. Sales thinks it's premium and exclusive. And operations thinks that efficiency is absolutely everything. You've got three different organizations all inside of one building, and all of them are pulling in slightly different directions. And third, your customers cannot tell their friends about you. The most powerful marketing in the world is a customer telling another person why they love something. But that requires the customer to understand what your organization stands for. If they cannot articulate your mission, they cannot advocate for you. One of your greatest assets goes completely unused. A clear mission and vision fix all three of these problems, not by magic, but by clarity. Before we build either one, we need to be clear on what they actually are. Most people use the words mission and vision interchangeably, and that confusion is the first obstacle to overcome. Your mission is your present tense purpose. It answers one question and one question only. Why do we exist and what do we do about it? It lives in the present. It's operational and it should be specific enough to guide real decisions. If someone on your team is facing a hard call today, your mission statement should help them make it. Your vision is your future tense aspiration. It answers a different question. Where are we going and what does success look like when we get there? It lives in the future. It's directional and it should be aspirational enough to motivate the work. When someone asks why they're putting in all the effort, your vision should give them an answer worth believing. Here's the relationship between the two. Your mission is why you get up out of bed and do the work every day. Your vision is what you're building toward at the end of all of that daily work. They need to be connected. If your mission and vision point in different directions, your organization is working against itself. If your mission is about speed and efficiency, but your vision is about artisanal quality, you've got a problem. If your mission is about accessibility and your vision is about exclusivity, you've got a bigger problem. Alignment between mission and vision is not a nice to have. It's the foundation of organizational coherence. Let me show you what that alignment looks like in practice. After the initial conversation with Maya, the owner of Toby's Taco Truck spent 2 weeks thinking, not writing, just thinking. He asked himself why he had gotten into the food truck business in the first place. Not the convenient answer, but the real one. The real answer was this. He grew up watching his grandmother cook extraordinary food, only to see people look down on her because she couldn't afford to serve it in a nice restaurant. He believed that good food shouldn't be gated behind a price point, and he wanted to prove that quality and accessibility could coexist. That backstory became the mission. Restaurant quality food, made with care, served fast, and priced for everyone. The vision became a world where the best meal you've ever had doesn't require a reservation or a big budget. Now, every decision has a filter. When someone suggested raising prices to improve margins, the mission pushed back. When someone suggested opening a brick and mortar location with white tablecloths, the vision pushed back. The words were doing work that had never been possible before. And that is what alignment looks like in practice. Even with the right thinking, it's easy to write statements that sound good, but don't actually function. To help guide you through this process, let me give you the 3 tests. In my opinion, these are not optional exercises. Run every draft of your mission and vision through all 3 of these before you finalize anything. Test number 1 is the stranger test. Take your mission or vision statement, walk up to someone who has never heard of your organization, hand it to them, and ask 3 questions. Number 1, what does this organization do? Number 2, who do they serve? And number 3, what do they believe in? If that random stranger cannot answer all 3 from the statement alone, the statement isn't clear enough. And I want to emphasize something here. The goal isn't cleverness. The goal is not poetry. The goal is clarity. A mission statement that makes people say, that's clever, is nothing but performative. A mission statement that makes people say, oh, I get it, is actually doing work. Test number 2 is the decision test. Read your mission statement out loud and then ask yourself, if someone on my team faced a genuinely hard judgment call today, would this statement help them make their decision? If the answer to that question is no, you've got decoration, not direction. The best mission statements function like a filter. Run the decision through it, and you should be able to quickly tell whether it's aligned with who you are. If it's not helping anyone decide anything, it's not doing its job. Test number 3 is the motivation test. Read your vision statement out loud and sit with it for a second. Does it make you want to work just a little bit harder? Does it make the destination feel like it's worth the sacrifice? Does it give meaning to the grind? If it doesn't move you, it won't move anyone else. Vision statements are supposed to motivate. If yours reads like a legal document or a generic aspiration that could belong to anyone in any industry, it needs more work. Next, we'll get into the framework for building mission and vision from scratch, or rebuilding the ones that you currently have that aren't working. There are 5 steps in this process, and you need to work through them in order. Don't skip ahead or it doesn't work. Step number 1 is to start with the why behind the why. Most people start by describing what they do when building a mission statement. And honestly, that's the wrong starting point. You need to start with why it all matters. Here's the underlying question. If your organization disappeared tomorrow, what would be missing from the world? What problem would go unsolved? What gap would remain? That question usually produces one of 2 results. Either people realize the answer is not much, which means they've got deeper work to do, or they'll discover a purpose that's bigger than they've ever articulated in the past. And that purpose gives them the raw material that they need. For Toby's taco truck, the answer was working people in the city would have one fewer place to eat a real meal without blowing their lunch budget. And that's not necessarily a small thing. That's a genuine gap in someone's day. Find your gap. That's where your mission begins. Step 2 is to identify who you serve. A mission without a target audience is incomplete. You need to know specifically who benefits from all your work, not something generic like professionals who want to grow. Who? What kind of professionals? At what stage of their career? Facing what specific challenge? The more specific you are, the more your mission resonates with the exact people it's meant to serve. Specificity isn't limiting, it's focusing. Focused organizations outperform diffused ones every day of the week. Step number 3 is to define the transformation. Every organization, if it's truly doing its job, transforms something. A leadership development company transforms managers into leaders. A taco truck transforms hungry people into satisfied ones. A logistics company transforms chaotic supply chains into reliable ones. Your mission should capture that transformation. What is the before state of the people that you serve when they come to you? And then what is the after state when they leave? Name both. That transformation is your purpose. Step 4 is to project forward. For your vision, you need to project. Not just 1 year, not 3 years, 10 years. Ask yourself, if this organization does everything right over the next decade, what does the world look like? Not in financial terms, but in impact terms. What has changed? What is better? What would someone notice if they looked at your industry, your customers, your community after 10 years of this organization operating at full capacity? Write that down. Refine it until it fits into 2 or 3 sentences. If you can't say it in 2 or 3 sentences, the thinking isn't clear enough yet. Keep refining until it is. And finally, step 5 is to test, refine, and repeat. Put your draft statements through the 3 tests. Share them with people outside of your organization and ask for specific, honest feedback. Not vague questions like, "Well, what do you think?" But questions like, does this tell you who we serve? Does this feel like it could belong to anyone else? Take that honest and hopefully constructive feedback to heart and incorporate what you hear, revise, and test again. Your mission and vision aren't written once, they're earned through iteration. Before we close out, I do want to spend a few minutes on the common mistakes that will kill otherwise good mission and vision statements because they show up consistently. Mistake number one is too much jargon. If you have to explain what your mission statement means, it's already failed. The people you serve, customers, employees, and partners should be able to read it out loud and immediately understand it. Cut out the industry language and use the plainest, clearest words that carry your meaning. Mistake number two is passive voice. Quality solutions are provided to our customers tells nobody anything. Who provides them? What makes them quality? To whom? Specifically, passive voice removes the agent of change. And the agent of change is the whole point. Organizations don't exist passively. They act. Your mission statement should act as well. Mistake number three is buzzword stacking. World class, innovative, customer centric excellence. I have seen statements like that framed on posters and hung in lobbies, and they mean absolutely nothing. If a word could be applied to any company in any industry without changing its meaning, cut it. Every word in your mission and vision should be doing specific work. Mistake number four is trying to say everything. Your mission statement is not your entire business plan. It's one idea said clearly. If you're writing paragraphs, you haven't found the core idea yet. Keep cutting until you hit bone. Mistake number five is writing it once and walking away. Mission and vision evolve over time. Your organization changes. Your understanding of who you serve gets sharper. Build in a regular review at a minimum of once a year. Not to change for the sake of change, but to make sure that they still accurately describe who you serve and where you're going. Here's what I really want you to understand out of this entire episode. This isn't an exercise in corporate documentation. When you get your mission and vision right, real things start to change. Decision making gets faster. When the values are visible and the direction is clear, the right choices become obvious faster. Your team no longer needs permission for every judgment call. They check their thinking against the mission and the vision and they move. That is organizational speed. That doesn't come from any software or process optimization. It comes from clarity. Hiring gets better. When your mission and vision are clear, the right candidates self-select in. They read your description of what you stand for and what you do and say, hey, that's me. The wrong candidates quietly move on. That natural filtering saves enormous amounts of time and money, and it helps to build cultures that actually cohere instead of pulling in seven directions all at once. Connection with your customers deepens. People don't just buy products, they buy beliefs, they buy stories, and they buy identities. When you clearly articulate what you stand for, your marketing becomes more honest and more effective. And that's a rare combination. And finally, you build something that outlasts you. The last one is the one that I really want you to think about. Organizations with clear missions survive leadership transitions. They survive market shifts and hard seasons. The mission is the anchor. It's what holds everything else in place. Leaders come and go. Markets change. But a mission genuinely embedded in an organization's culture can outlast it all. That right there is the real reason to do this work, not just the day-to-day operational benefits. Although those are real, they're building something worth building. And things worth building deserve to last. To wrap this up, here's what I'd like you to do before you sit down with your team the next time. Pull out your current mission and vision statements and read them both out loud. Run them through the 3 tests and write down exactly where they break down. Then take those notes and work through the 5-step framework. Give yourself 1 solid hour away from email, away from meetings, away from the phone, just you, a notebook, and those 5 questions. By the time you're done, you'll have raw material that's actually yours, not borrowed language, not committee speak, your actual purpose in your actual words. That's the starting point. Everything else builds from there. If you found this episode useful, please share it with one person who's building something and struggling to articulate why. That's how this content helps find the people who need it most. For more on leadership, professional development, and process improvement, head on over to toby-talks.com. Every episode, every blog post, every framework, every resource that we produced is right there waiting for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.